It's like James Brown, James Brown punctuation. Well. Here we are. It's April 19th. Let's go back a little bit in the week. We've had some good things happen. All right. As far as I'm concerned, it is nice to see MAGA world squirm. Oh yeah, Trump has got this Iran thing down. He's got it down. Oh, he pulled a genius move. There we go. There's a way to pay. Oh, the other way. There's a way to pay. And Marty G, when he was staying here, he was like, yeah, this is Trump's 3D chess maneuver. He's got them. He's going to blockade in the next, like within the hour. The Iranians say, this is not the internet where I block you and you block me. We're closing the straits. Fuck you. And, and of course, they're gonna be destroyed now. They really crossed the wrong man and crossed Trump. I go, how much is it gonna take? I mean, believe me, this ties in. But how much is it gonna take before you realize that the emperor, the rapey emperor, has no clothes? I understand you don't want to give the satisfaction to the chortling Greek chorus of people who fucking are waiting to dying to say, "I told you so." But the reality of it is, he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. And I'm sure if you were a MAGA world, you could counter, does anybody in that position? No. Most people in that position have never done what they've done before, but they've been elected because they have the temperament and the analytical chops to be able to fucking think their way out through. And that's what America wanted until now. So should I write about that again? What's the fucking point? What's the point? Like Marty G was here for 3 or 4 days. We talked about that briefly, and I listened. I listened. He's a very persuasive speaker. I listened, and it was interesting because no matter whether I agree or not, I do not think he's lying to me. In other words, he believes what he's saying because he believes Trump. I believe Trump is lying. So Trump is not lying to me because I already believe him to be a liar. Trump is lying to Marty G. Now, is Marty G a cynical opportunist or is he a true believer? He's a true believer, and that's why it pains me to see that ultimately this is not gonna. Ultimately, he's gonna see the man for what he is, and he's already had a glimmer of that when he thought his response to Rob Reiner's death was fucking bullshitty. No, he thought that Trump's response to Reiner's death was bullshit. Now, that's a little bit of sunlight, but I'm not going to write about this. I'm going to write about Epstein files again. No, not until there's video released or there's some legal action made in a step forward, because I believe it all. Anything that counters that doesn't serve my purpose. I mean, QAnon was almost right with the whole Pizzagate thing. But that's the way it works. That's the way it works. I mean, the people like me who believe that America didn't land on the moon in 1972, because if they did, when have humans never gone back to a place they've gone once before? Oh, and so now they're trying to snow us with this mission to the moon. Well, they didn't go to the moon; they circled the moon. Any fucking satellite could do that. So that's not the point. Yeah, yeah, what's it gonna take? I mean, what's it gonna take? I mean, listen, he's been doing this his whole life. From him, I'm talking about Trump. From him, I expect the presidential maniac. Sorry, from him, I expect nothing. I expect nothing. I believe nothing. The same enablers he's had now, he had when he was cheating his way through becoming next to last place at Wharton. Actually, he was two from the bottom at Wharton, and he cheated to get in there. So it's the people, the well-meaning people who somehow see that there's hope in their message. And I mean, I don't think anybody was even this deep in on Obama, who campaigned specifically on hope. But write about it? Nah, I'm not. Nah, I'm gonna give it a break. And anyway, what determined the piece this week was I got my piece done for Cream Magazine, which is sure to gonna set people's minds on fire when it's eventually published. I finished my piece for The Wire. It's a piece on Iggy Pop. I know Wire is kind of high tone for some of you, so this is my second Epiphanies piece for them. The first one I did on Dean Martin. This one is on Iggy Pop. I gotta try to bring down. It's like whenever I hang around those the arty types, I'm just unrestrainedly me. I gotta shake them out of that kind of fucking cloistered fear thing that they got going. So Iggy Pop in the Wire magazine. I haven't done. Even though I lied last night on if the shoes fit. I didn't lie. It's not so much that I lie. I just say stuff that doesn't come true. Also, I know the piece is not due until Monday, and I have time to do it after this show. My piece for the next issue of Decibel, and I don't know what it's going to be. But I have a good idea. It'll take me a few hours to knock it out. But this week, I had to wade through mail. Wade through mail. So let's give you the backstory on where we are. The first piece was me finally letting go of my deep and abiding hatred of Anthony Kiedis. It was baseless, it was pointless, and now, almost 40 years later, I, I was starting to feel like a nut. More importantly, more significantly, and I'm sure he would not like this, I started to feel sorry for dude. How are you going to feel sorry for a guy that rich? Well, there's to a certain degree, this is money is not the issue here. You know, the guy's already voiced that he's got problems. I'm with three great musicians. I'm the least talented. You don't think that bites? It kind of probably bites a little. You think it bites that people. I mean, look, as long as they've been filling stadiums, there've been people saying that he's the weak link and he sucks. And besides which, he's not the one who tried to run me down with his car on Sunset Boulevard. That was Flea. It sounds crazy even to say it like that, but it happened. I identified his car. If I think hard enough, I could find my notes and pick up his license plate, which I took down after he zipped by me. It just seemed like. Let me tell you a story. This guy tried. It's in the memoir. So for don't Donna Shalala me on my own show. This guy had tried to rape a friend of ours. I'll just keep the long story much shorter. We went and looked for him. We beat him almost to death. I don't even say half to death, almost to death. We said, if we ever see you again, we're gonna fucking kill you. The guy's a drug dealer. He's got to come back and close our business before he moves from the Lower East Side to some other place. We catch him one other time, but this time I could see the guy. He was doing his best to get out of our orbit. He needed a few days to clean some stuff up, but we saw him again and we jumped out of the car. And now the second crew of people were scheming to kick his ass. The second group. And there was on the one side, the second group, there was this animal delight in. They could taste the blood in the water. Everybody wanted a little bit of the ass kicking. But people who were in the first group, it seemed like overkill. We made the point. We see the guy. We pull up the car. We start running. He starts running. He knew he was going to get fucked up again. This is now. Now it just seems perverse. After 40 years, I could finally admit the thing with Kiedis was perverse. But that's not what shocked me. What shocked me was everybody going, how are you defending this fucking pedophile? And I was like, okay, well, we're in the same spot here because I don't see this vitriol reserved for David Bowie or Iggy Pop or Jimmy Page or Steven Tyler, or I could just get or Prince or Chuck Berry or Jerry Lee Lewis. I could just keep going down the list. There's something about rock and roll, and there are not many opportunities for it, right? Like if you play for the symphony orchestra, you don't have 15-year-old groupies, right? I'm sure, and then even if you're like David Guetta, some techno house guy, most 13-year-olds or 15-year-olds are not going out to parties in Las Vegas at 2 in the morning. The only people I know who've been young, underage in Las Vegas out at 2 in the morning who weren't there with parents were prostitutes, sex workers. Prince's wife, Mayte, he was married for 2 seconds. They started dating when she was 16. Moreover, and have not included this in the piece. This is a Show Stomper special in my memoir where I talk about being 19 and dating the 14-year-old hardcore chick from DC who ran away from DC to hang out in New York. She had come there by way of Minneapolis, where she had been hanging out and dating members of the time. According to her. I don't know. So Prince was in that list. So all this vitriol. I mean, one brush for one and one brush for the other. Like they at one point caught some Israeli weapons dealers, and the weapons dealers were selling weapons to the Palestinian Authority, and people were giving them a really hard time about this. And the guys go, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Well, you going to castigate us for so? You're going to castigate the Jew for something the Gentile does every day?" That was almost persuasive. That was almost persuasive. But in this instance, so I'm getting these letters about Kiedis, and I'm like, yeah, but Bowie, but Jimmy Page, but, and people are not, and then they segue from the, what I'm saying about is I'm returning it to the legal standard of spirit of the law, letter of the law, as well as the premise of hurt and harm. And that as much as you want this to be gray, even the people who have been posited as victims, the women and so the men too. I mean, only one of the people I slept with before I was 18 was in my age bracket. That means when I was 15 years, 16, 17 years old, I was sleeping with older women. Are they sex offenders too? No, 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 no. It's hurt and harm. Law is premised on hurt and harm. And hurt is different from harm. I can get my feelings hurt, but my feelings don't get harmed. My body gets harmed. Right. So then I'm kind of responding either through DMs or people leaving the comments. I'm trying to deal with it. And I just go, and what keeps coming up again and again is Morris Day. She didn't specifically mention Morris Day, but yeah. So people keep mentioning Edgelord. Albini's name comes up. As you well know, Albini was a friend of mine, a guy who I liked and respected. But everything that people had problems with Albini, I also had problems with Albini, but I held my fire. I held my fire. I sat down, like I mentioned in the Substack. I sat down many times to write him when I read some piece in Forced Exposure. Many times to write him and say, hey, what, this is fucked up, bro. Just like I spent an entire afternoon in Tesco V's backyard arguing with Ian Mackay about guilty of being white. Yeah, I understand it must be tough for you to be a white guy in Chocolate City in DC. In the brief amount of time that you have to deal with colored folks before you get back to your nice, cush suburb. Yeah, I imagine it might be rough. You know, kind of like me being hospitalized in fucking Bensonhurst when I got my ear cored out with a broken bottle. Kind of like that, right? I mean, look, we're not going to do any comparative suffering here. That's not the point. The point is, black and white. Listen, you got these guys, these billionaires out there who, it's not even black, white, gray. They don't give a shit. They are like rainbow colored fucking offenders doing what they want, when they want, as they want. And they leave these weeds for us to fucking choose from to, we're attacking each other for this kind of shit where these guys are getting away with murder, literally, not figuratively, literally. So I said I didn't want to say in defense of edge lords because that shit pissed me off the first time too. And then there were instances in which one guy wrote me, and he wrote me about a friend of mine. And some of you might not recognize his name. His name it was Jimmy Gestapo, the singer for Murphy's Law. And he says, "Yeah, I was booking some festival, and he used the word nigger 5 times, and I was like, well, let me put it this way: I don't know what Jimmy's become, but I've known Jimmy since he was 15 years old. I mean, Jimmy never talks salty around me. It's like the line from Robert De Niro in Cape Fear, when he's telling Joe Don Baker about, you using salty language around me, I might take offense and somebody's gonna, I never heard this. Never heard this from Jimmy. Do I believe he said it? 100%. 100%. Like Pete Guy, whose father sang for the Coasters, who I talk about in the memoir as well. He lived over on Winthrop, a few blocks from me when I lived in Flatbush. And we go to train again. One day he was outraged, pissed off, and he heard something. Somebody said something or something about some nigger, yeah, something, something. You remember CB's used to be next to a men's shelter around the corner from another. CB's was right next to an SRO, single room occupancy thing for homeless people and indigent people, what we used to call bums in the old days. And then on Third Street, right around the corner, kind of Hell's Angels, and there was a men's shelter where men, So maybe he heard somebody say something, and he was pissed off. And I go, whoa, whoa, wait a minute, wait a minute. You going to dinner at these guys' houses? You guys hanging out? You having drinks together? You go, it's not your friends. Who you think these are your friends? These are people who like the same things, but they're not your friends. I'm your friend. He goes, what do you know for? I said, well, either right now we're gonna go back and kick their asses, which will prove nothing. Or you have to realize that they're fucking dumbasses who are sons and daughters of fucking garbage men. And, this is just their world, man. This is what they grew up with. Cape Fear is great. And now they're remaking Cape Fear with Javier Bardem, which I'm really looking forward to. There are two things filmically that I'm looking forward to: the Cape Fear with Javier Bardem and the next James Bond movie. Sorry, James Bond has been a lifelong jam for me, but I know they're gonna fuck it up. Like there were a bunch of years I didn't watch James Bond. I didn't watch Pierce Brosnan. I didn't watch Timothy Dalton. I didn't watch Roger Moore. I didn't like the jokey thing, and he was my standard for James Bond was very simple. He had to make me feel concerned about fist fighting him. So that's Sean Connery and that's Daniel Craig. Those other cats, I'd take them in a second. Like Harley Flanagan once said to me, he was walking by some guy in the street, another Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, but he's still doing his accounting as he walks down the street and passes other adult men in New York City. And he says every now and then he walks by some guy who's like, that'd be a lot of work. It's not like he thinks that the guy, Elvis Costello. And in Elvis Costello's case, I was a fan. I got the first two records. But after the calling, Ray Charles, James Brown niggers, I was like, hey, it's like comedy. I don't choose to laugh. I just laugh. I stopped laughing at Dave Chappelle 4 specials ago. I stopped liking Elvis Costello back after Ray Charles, James Brown blast. I didn't try to not like him, just didn't like him anymore. It was stupid. It was stupid. And I don't know who's going to play a new James Bond. Nobody does yet, but I know they're going to fuck it up because they're not thinking the way I'm thinking. He's got to be. Listen, if you knew about Ian Fleming, and I heard about Ian Fleming from Chris Blackwell, who owns and runs GoldenEye, an exclusive resort in White House, Jamaica. Where I tried to actually get to visit him there. Like the only people that stay there are like multimillionaires. And I interviewed him at an Ozzy Fest that was, Ozzy Fest started by convicted felon Carlos Watson. And the guy, we got along so well. I was like, hey man, I'm going to be in Jamaica. Why come on by? And of course, where I was in Jamaica was on the other side of the island from him. And it's an island, but it's not that small of an island. So I missed out going to GoldenEye. But he grew up with Ian Fleming, who was having an affair with his mother, apparently. And he said, Fleming started writing that stuff because he had been an agent himself and he was going crazy. He was having these terrible nightmares. And like a therapist or the army, the military psychologist said, just write the stuff down. Well, I don't want to divulge it. Write it as fiction. Just write the story. So if you read his early books, that James Bond was fucking psychotic. He wasn't quipping here and there. I mean, the License to Kill was something that was taken seriously. So Hollywood is going to bungle it. The Broccolis have sold the franchise. I don't want to get into film talk here, but the reality of it is, the only way that they can make a mistake is if you pick some like Tom Hardy. It's too short for it, I think, but he would have been good. I feel like I could kick Tom Hardy. He's a purple belt. I've been beaten by purple belts before, but not Tom Hardy. But he's got the gravitas, and you got the sense he'd be tough in a fight. That's got James Bond's got to be. Right. So Idris Elba, I liked. At this point, they keep fucking around and he's too old. And then inevitably they do this talk, maybe it's time to open it up. Maybe have James Bond be a woman. And I was like, anybody who's suggesting that, is just looking to start an argument, right? It's just, okay, I'm going to do the Last Temptation of Christ, but I'm going to do non-traditional casting. Yeah, I'm going to have Raquel Welch play Jesus Christ. You can't really hear that without smiling. Bad Boss Brief this week on Wednesday. The AI issue. There you go. Thank you, June, for putting that up. Let's see what else we got. Well, I got to finish the decibel piece. That'll get done. And other than that, it's just me and Cora for the next 2 weeks. We're batching it. So you're hanging out in Spain. You want to come on by? Come on by. Feel free. Glad to see you. So, but right first. Don't. If you show up unannounced and you actually manage to find this place, you're probably not, I can't let you leave. It's one of those things. So and then next week there'll be If the Shoes Fit on Saturday, if things work right. I don't know if you know this, but the lieutenant governor who murdered his wife and then murdered himself, it was actually a distant relative of Alexei's. Yeah, man. Yeah, that was kind of wild. We talked about that on the show yesterday. So anyway, that's it. The kid is sleeping now. She's got to get up for school early tomorrow. So I'll just tell you, like I'm gonna say right now, look what your baby do! Don't that bloody.
Thanks for joining us this week for yet another episode of the Show Stomper podcast, featuring your host, Eugene S. Robinson. Be sure to follow Eugene's weekly newsletter, which is a soaring hit at eugenesrobinson.substack.com. If you're still on Twitter, he's at Eugene S. Robinson. While you're at it, follow him on Insta at Mr. Sleep 3, that's the number 3. For more episodes of the show that seemingly never ends, go to showstomper.substack.com and become a subscriber today. Eventually, it will house all the Knuckle Up archives we can locate. We already have all the jujitsu breakdowns for free. Check out Eugene on the Bad Boss Brief podcast every other Wednesday morning, as well as the If the Shoes Fit podcast. Pick up his memoir, A Walk Across Dirty Water and Straight into Murderer's Row today, and be sure to leave him a much appreciated honest Amazon review.
Hey, are you still there? I'm here too. This is me, June M. Williams, Eugene's producer.
The Show Stomper has been produced by Original Designs, owned and operated by me, June M. Williams. I provide Eugene with videography, original show graphics, motion graphics, show logos, podcast syndication, social media, and more. I can be reached at originals@gmail.com, spelled ORIJUNELS @gmail.com.